Hello, and welcome to the Wheel of Time Rewind podcast. I am your host, Dylan Stoll, and with me as always is my friend Michael Whifford.
Hello.
So, today, on episode 9, we are going to get into some potential spoilers. So, we want to give everybody a heads up right now that if you don't want to have any potential spoilers come your way, that you might want to skip out on this particular episode here. We will give into some other things, but we will give plenty of notice before we dive into any content that could be considered spoiler. We want to try to be considered a spoiler. We want to try to keep this podcast as spoiler-free as we possibly can so that both new and existing fans of the series will be able to enjoy it to the fullest. But what fun is there without speculation? So we will deviate from that spoiler-free content and dive in today with some stuff for you. First of all, though, just want to put out a reminder about where you can reach the show if you want to submit anything to us, any questions, have any comments, anything like that. You can do so by sending an email to wheeloftimerewind@gmail.com, or if you're on social media, on Twitter or Instagram at WOTRewind, feel free to tag us in anything. Feel free to direct message us. We'll read anything we get like that out on the show. But first, before we get into the spoiler content, let's talk about our book updates. So, Mike, where are you right now as far as your reading goes?
Still in progress with Book 4, The Shadow Rising of the Wheel of Time. I think I'm going to be on this one for a little while.
That's a long book.
What about you, Dylan?
Yeah, I'm right there with you on Shadow Rising, which is Book 4 of the Wheel of Time series by Robert Jordan. Whereabouts are you, though? Because I'm wondering if I overtook you.
You probably did. I didn't really read too much this week. Just leaving the tier. Just leaving tier.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I have 14 hours and 47 minutes left in the book.
Gosh.
So I'm guessing you have over 20 still?
Oh, definitely. I'm sure.
Yeah, so Shadow Rising, like Mike alluded to, is a very long book. This right here is where the book starts to expand beyond, like, the first 3 are kind of considered a little mini trilogy, and this is where, like, the giant, more world-building act of Wheel of Time starts to take place. So it's a phenomenal story. I love it, and this is where this book here is where you see Matt start to become the character he is. That is why myself and
Dylan's
a lot of
favorite.
the fandom love him. Yes. So he's a fantastic character, and that's from this point on. Previously, he can be a little petulant, but he's okay. So, before we get into any spoiler content, and I know I'm giving a lot of warnings here, but that's on purpose. So,
Yeah.
I'm going to make it firm and clear right here. From this point on, will potentially be spoiler-filled. So, if you wish to remain in the dark or don't want to hear any content that could ruin your enjoyment of the show, I highly recommend that you skip the rest of this episode and have a good one. But if you're still here and want to listen to some of our crazy theories and what we feel like is going to come about with the show, that's what we're here for. So, we're going to get started today with a little reading of the Koreathon cycle. So, Mike, go ahead and launch away.
The Koreathon cycle, the prophecies of the dragon. And it shall come to pass that what men made shall be shattered, and the shadow shall lie across the pattern of the age, and the Dark One shall once more lay his hand upon the world of man. Women shall weep, and men quail as the nations of the earth are rent like rotting cloth. Neither shall anything stand or abide. The shadow shall rise across the world and darken every land, even to the smallest corner. And there shall be neither light nor safety. And he who shall be born of the dawn born of the maiden, according to prophecy. He shall stretch forth his hands to catch the shadow, and the world shall scream in the pain of salvation. All glory be to the Creator, and to the light, and to he who shall be born again. May the light save us from him. Yet one shall be born to face the shadow, born once more as he was born before, and shall be born again, time without end. The dragon shall be reborn, and there will be wailing and gnashing of teeth at his rebirth. In sackcloth and ashes shall he clothe the people, and he shall break the world again by his coming, tearing apart all ties that bind. Like the unfettered dawn shall he blind us and burn us. Yet shall the dragon reborn confront the shadow at the last battle, and his blood shall give us the light. Let tears flow, O ye people of the world. Weep for your salvation.
Phenomenal, man. Phenomenal. I loved it.
Thank you.
I got chills. I love it.
I'd like to think I was kind of going for a little more on the high chant end of things, but I don't know. Probably not that good.
Phenomenal job. So the reason why we had Mike read the part of the Koreathon cycle here, or the Prophecies of the Dragon as they're also known, is because we want to dive into this Dragon Reborn debate head on and just let you guys know our thoughts on this. Because as many of you may have heard, the first 60 seconds of the show were released. So we have our first actual clip that is in chronological order that has been released from the show. And in this clip, Moraine talks about where the show is going to be going, provides a little exposition for the show, and talks about how the Dragon Reborn has been, or is coming of age and needs to be found. However, the White Tower and Moraine don't know whether the Dragon Reborn was born a male or a female, a boy or a girl, as she puts it in the trailer here. And this is big news for anybody that's familiar with the book series, because in the book series and throughout the Koreathon cycle that Mike just read, and other passages from the Koreathon cycle as well, it mentions how the Dragon Reborn is in fact a he, a male. However, let's have a little chat here and talk about what we might be thinking. So, Mike, why don't you give us your thoughts on, first of all, the 60 seconds we saw, and also what is your reaction to this potential change?
So we watched the clip together here, and have to say that I like that they're laying out this foundation, giving everyone a taste. But I'd also like to remind people what we've learned about Aes Sedai is that they speak the truth, but what we often think we hear from an Aes Sedai isn't actually the truth that you thought you heard. And so that's something to remember as we go into the series, because I think if the producers and the directors are really smart, they'll play with that. Because they'll be able to play with the audience's heartstrings a little bit more, especially those of us who have read the books. We're not going to get a direct book-to-TV translation. I mean, we already know that. That can't happen. Otherwise, this series would be 3,000 seasons long of 8 episodes. And that's only book 1. Just kidding on that. But seriously, like, Robert Jordan's writing is beautiful, and his description is fantastic. And so they have to do a lot to convey these things visually for us. Now, I'm getting a little bit away from where I want to go with that, so let me come back and say that in this clip, we get very brief exposition for where Maureen's going, why she's doing it, kind of the history of the world, which a lot of us readers already know, and me and Dylan debated a little bit on it, but I take away that everything she said is true. It was just an Aes Sedai answer for some things. So when she was talking about the breaking of the world and how, is the arrogance of man thinking they could seal the Dark One's prison or the shadow, she doesn't really go into too much detail. And what she did say is true, technically. I mean, Was it the Dark One who caused the world to move around and all that? Not directly, but by corrupting the true source or a Sidene, that caused the men to go crazy and do those things. So I think that was well done. Then we get into the gender bit of it. And I'm not trying to start a whole... I saw a lot of people on Facebook and everywhere else going crazy over it. Personally, I think that the directors are adding this element to add a little bit of mystique to it so that, like, audience members who don't already know may think it's Egwene or Nynaeve as they're going through their adventures, and I get it, and that's fine. I mean, that's perfectly fine in my opinion, because you want to add like an extra element to the show and make those characters seem just as important early on to the audience members who don't know them and who don't know where they end up, and like have the audience care about them, because you can't get into every little nuanced bit of their relationship together. But I do understand that I completely, again, I don't think they're going to change who the Dragon Reborn is. It's going to be Rand. Let's, just throw that out there. They can't change that. If they do, they're going to lose the whole book audience, because then it leads into so many other questions, which I know, Dylan, you're going to bring up here in just a minute. But my viewpoint is they want to add some mystique to the show. I know people are thinking like, oh, it doesn't really add anything to the show. It ruins it. And I know that it leads to some questions that are unanswered, but you also have to remember, we haven't seen it yet. And so it's kind of, I can't be sitting here getting all up in arms like, oh my gosh, they're ruining the book series. I've read this book series so many times. Like, how could they do this? I'm not going to get up in arms. I haven't seen it yet. After I've seen the season, if I feel that way, I will definitely share that. But it's going to have some different interpretations. It's going to go in some different directions. And I'm not willing to judge it before I've seen it. What are your thoughts on that, Dylan?
So I just want to come right out and start off by saying that I 100% agree with the last statement that you made there, which is that I am going to watch this season of the show. I am hopefully going to enjoy this first season of the show, and I am going to reserve final judgment for this until I have actually seen what is put on screen, because I feel like as a fan of the series, it deserves that much of a chance to succeed. And I would love to see a direct translation from book to screen. However, in our first episode, we came right out and said that's not happening. So as much as I might like to see a one-for-one translation, this is a different turning of the wheel. We're going to see similar events happen, but not a direct one-to-one translation. And that's okay. Because let's be real here, folks. If you got 3 seasons of Perrin waiting around to rescue Fael, would you be happy? The answer is no. We don't want a direct one-for-one translation of every little detail we see there. To me, I am perfectly fine if the showrunners, if Rafi wants to make Rand's coat blue instead of red. I don't care about that. I don't care if he makes Perrin bald instead of having curly, thick hair. Well, I think he's going to have the curly, thick hair anyway.
Well, now, hold on. You can't say that.
That's taking it too far. But no, what I'm getting at is, for me personally, I am 100% fine seeing a different iteration of the Wheel of Time put on screen than are in the books, as long as the changes that are made are done for a valid reason, whether that's television budget, whether that is to not confuse the audience as much by having 20 different characters with the same name, or 20 characters that do like minor roles that are one-offs. If they condense all that down into like maybe like 1 or 2 people, that's fine. I am fine with all these changes. However, the large changes that, in my opinion, are done that could harm the show, harm the series, that is where I start to have a little bit of a problem. And like Mike said, I 100% feel like it's going to be Rand. This back and forth of is the dragon a boy or a girl is done for the new viewers of the show that have not read the books. If they made the Dragon Reborn Nynaeve, if they made the Dragon Reborn Moraine, if they made the Dragon Reborn Egwene, or any other female Chandler, that would be taking it way too far, and that would distance the show from all of the book readers who want to see the series they love portrayed on screen, and that would include myself. However, I feel like giving the possibility to make the Dragon Reborn a girl as opposed to just a man is kind of creating some needless drama. And I don't know if this is being done to kind of give the book readers a taste of what all of the new viewers will be experiencing, wondering who will be the Dragon Reborn. Will the show take that next step in making the Dragon Reborn Egwene or any other female Chandler and pull the rug out from under us? Or if it's being done for a reason that has been fully fleshed out, fully thought out, as I'm sure that an entire writer's room came to this decision that this is going to be the way they want to do it. I personally wish they would not have done this because it creates more problems than it would potentially solve, in my opinion. I feel like having the Dragon Reborn be one of the 3 of the boys from Emond's Field isn't really that different from having it be one of the 5, including Egwene and Nynaeve. So I don't really see the need to go to like a 1 out of 5 instead of a 1 out of 3. That doesn't make much sense to me. It also, one of the things that I talked with Mike about, and this perhaps is where like you start to like expand upon the well, if this then that rationale, where if a female Chandler can be the dragon, have there been female false dragons? What prevents the Aes Sedai in the tower from creating their own false dragon to pull the strings of, if they feel like they have the capabilities to do so? If the Dragon Reborn can be a female Chandler, will that female Chandler have to channel Saidin instead of Saidar? Because Moraine clearly mentions this man has been born again. We don't know if he's been born a boy or a girl. So does that say the soul of the Dragon Reborn is inherently male, but the body that soul inhabits can be male or female? So being inherently male in the soul, to me, says Saidin must be channeled. So that kind of creates a whole other line of questions where you're talking about, like, if the Dragon Reborn can be female, this, then this, then this, and you start going on and picking apart the storyline that we know of from the Koreathon cycle, including the drawing of Kalendor, having to be a male Chandler that can touch it, and not just any male Chandler, but the Dragon Reborn himself grabbing it. And I could go on and on with different examples of, like, if the Dragon Reborn is a female, then this. But the truth of it is that I don't believe that Dragon Reborn is going to be anyone other than Rand al'Thor. Mike doesn't believe anyone other than Rand al'Thor is going to be the Dragon Reborn. And this right now is creating a bit of a toxic environment within the fandom, with certain fans turning on others and just bringing out the worst in a lot of people. And I've seen some posts on Facebook that I laugh at because it is so true. The posts that I'm talking about are like, I firmly believe that Rafi is the Dark One, and he did this just to cause chaos because he can. Gosh. And it's so funny to think about, like, the Dark One touching our own reality, touching our world to bring out the worst in all of us. But I'm going to just end my little analysis of this issue with this. It's going to be Rand that's the Dragon Reborn. If it's not, then we'll address that when it comes, and I will no longer watch the series, more than likely. But on top of that, please just, be respectful of each other, whether you like or dislike the idea of a female dragon being a possibility, because at the end of the day, we all love this series that's created by Robert Jordan, and we all would love to see it succeed. So let's give this the chance it needs to have success.
Yeah. Again, just seeing some of those posts on Facebook and people just saying already that the series is ruined, they knew this was going to happen and all this, and I'm just like, you're very pessimistic, friend. Like, haven't seen it yet, and you've already decided this is ruined, and it's going to ruin the book series, or it's not faithful. You also have to remember, too, that I'm pretty sure Brandon Sanderson was involved quite a bit.
Harriet is involved. Robert Jordan's widow.
Yes, McDougal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. She was also involved, and, Rafi himself has read the books. They want to engage new fans and old fans alike, so they may be throwing things in just to throw things in right now to get us talking about the series, excited to see, and whatever else. We don't know what they're doing. And also, I thought I saw a tweet yesterday or earlier today from Dragon Mount, and they talked about how that this series is like the next turning of the wheel. So it's like another iteration of the events in the book. So that way they can kind of blanket statement like things are going to be different and it's okay because it's just another turning of the wheel. And so do keep that in mind. Things aren't going to be perfect.
Right. And I don't think that it would be a realistic expectation to expect a page-to-screen perfect translation, because that has never happened with any of the major fantasy series. Not Game of Thrones, not Lord of the Rings, not the Shannara Chronicles.
Oh God, don't bring those up.
So let's just hope that the adaptation we get to see on screen is more in the veins of Lord of the Rings, where we all will love it for its differences and despite its differences, and while we still maintain our love of the original source material. Getting out of this conversation with our skin intact, hopefully, without too many daggers being thrown our way. Mike, what are some of your expectations for the series, or some of the things you would love to see happen in Season 1 of The Wheel of Time?
Love to see happen. Well, I would actually like it if... it's tough to say because I'm going off of the titles from the episodes and like the clips we've seen. They've left Loyal out of pretty much any clip, so I'm really hopeful that they bring him in and we get to see the steading. The Waygate as well is... I'm really excited to see how they do the inside of the ways because, I've pictured things in my brain, but I'd really love to get a really visual and enjoy that experience visually. Man, but also, I'm really hopeful they expand a little bit on Tam's story in the beginning. Like, seeing the clip where we were in the
Blood Snow?
The IE Award, yeah. And we had the knight there fighting with the Aielman or woman. I'd love to get a little more of an image and some events that happened with Rand being born on Dragon Mount and coming to the Two Rivers. That would be really cool as well. They have so many opportunities to stay mostly true to the source material and add on a little bit of these gaps that we had to imagine as readers. What about you, Dylan? What are some things you are hopeful for?
Yeah, I think the ways are one of the things I'm most hopeful for and most excited about seeing, because I would really like to see if they make it so they can travel the ways without an Ogier. I really hope they don't do that. I want to see Loyal. Loyal's one of my favorite characters in the book as well. He's just so cool. But I'm really interested to see how they do the inside of the ways. The other part from the first book that I am really excited about seeing is I really want to see Rand's fight in the sky with Ishamael. I don't know if they'll do that in season 1 or not. I know they mentioned they were going to be doing they were going to do book 1 and parts of book 2 and book 3.
Ooh, yeah, we should talk about what we think they're going to bring forward from book 2 and book 3.
Yeah, but if I'm talking about just from Eye of the World, I would still love to see the battle of the two Forsaken with Moraine, with the Green Man, with Rand at the Eye of the World, because it might be stereotypical, but with Rand reaching out and touching Saidin for the first time and just like wreaking havoc and destroying hordes of Trollocs, and the Green Man just killing one of the Forsaken straight up as he's burning. I'm all about that. That sounds really cool to me.
I was just going to add on, I think the way the Waygate clip was shown where they're walking up to it, the camera's kind of behind the group. Like, Loyal could easily be behind them still. Or, it just not quite in with the rest of them. So I do think there is a good possibility he's there. He's already been cast, so they're definitely bringing him in at some point. But like, I feel like I don't know where, since it seems like they are going to be skipping
the Camelin story.
The Camelin story, which it's okay. I could, if you had to cut out like a good chunk of the story, like I could see that part being cut out and sort of layered in later on.
One of my favorite scenes from the first book is actually Rand meeting Egwene and Gawain and Galad for the first time. Just kind of like falling off the wall and landing in the courtyard there. I think that scene would be really cool. If they do, but I know they are cutting Camelin out of the first season here. Just they couldn't afford it budget-wise, I guess is the explanation I've heard. But if they do cut that, I'm going to be curious to see like how they do the introduction of Elaine to Rand.
Well, I think that would be actually pretty easy, because she goes to the tower and that's where she meets Egwene and Nynaeve, and so she kind of falls in with them, becomes friends, and maybe Min comes as well, and then she's hearing about this boy, Rand al'Thor. Ooh, he sounds interesting, and Min sees a vision of her like kissing her man too, and she's like, oh, I guess we're gonna be sister wives. I know, I guess that's something too, and kind of sidetracking off on that, and I kind of don't disagree with it, like having Rand's, like, instead of him being married to 3 different women, it's gonna be like him in love with 3 different women. It's more instead of polygamy, it's gonna be
an open relationship,
which I think is a better way to probably address that.
Probably. I think that however that's done, I'll be fine with. I think if Elaine just kind of meets Rand for the first time at the Stone of Tyr after just like hearing about him from Egwene and Min and everyone else, and be like, I gotta get me some of that in those corners. I think that'd be fine.
Yeah, building that relationship up, like meeting for the first time there and sort of like falling and spending some of that time together, that would be good. I want to why don't we talk real quickly about some things that we think they're going to include from book 2 and book 3.
Yeah, let's do it.
I think personally they're going to show the Shan-Chan like coming ashore and maybe like having the Damani and like kind of in like maybe collaring like a girl or an Aes Sedai in that area, and that's going to be like sort of the end of the season sort of clip, and so that way it's sort of like showing this new threat coming, and that we know season 2 we're going to be dealing with that as well.
Yeah, kind of like have Rand fighting the Forsaken, and then he beats the Forsaken, and you think everything's good, and then you see the Shan-Chan roll up and just start like taking Damani captive, and that would be cool.
Yeah. And I think that way it sets up really nicely for season 2. Like, oh, like he beat these people and he thinks like he killed the Dark One, but like now there's this other threat. And then you end up finding out like, no, he didn't actually kill the Dark One. Now, book 3 is the one where I'm kind of like...
Well, hold on. I think from book 2, we're going to see some of the training done at the White Tower for Egwene and Nynaeve. I think we will at least see Nynaeve become accepted. I think there's a good chance we see Egwene become accepted as well. But I I don't really know what else from book 2 I would think is like necessary for them to include. I guess it really just depends on like how far they take the hunt for the horn part of book 2 into season 1.
They might have like it stolen to the horn stolen at the end of book, at the end of book, or at the end
beginning
of the season.
Of book 2. Yeah.
Yeah. So have the horn stolen, have the Shan Chan show up in season 1, and have like Egwene and Nynaeve start training there at the tower, and like maybe they just heard about like this other accepted, and that's where you hear about Elaine, and then it picks up in season 2 where you're seeing her there. Book 3 though is in my opinion, kind of the tricky one.
It is,
because that's where Rand is going to Tyr. And you have, like, the side quests kind of with Matt and with Perrin, like, chasing after him. And everyone's sort of meeting in Tyr. So I don't know exactly what would be involved in that.
My prediction is the healing of Matt, the separation of Matt from his dagger, taking place at the end of season 1, so that he's not a petulant child for the rest of season 2 as well.
That's probably a good idea, yeah.
I think that would just make Matt more likable going forward, and they could even kind of laugh about it with the recasting of Matt for season 2 and onward, saying like,
you're like a whole different person.
Right, you're like a whole new person. Exactly. So like heal him towards the end of there and like not really show him again afterwards, and then like at the start of season 2 of the show he'll kind of wake up as a different person, as Donald Finn. So we'll get to like see that transition. Would be funny in my opinion. But I don't really think we'll see much of Rand's story from book 3 of The Dragon Reborn. I think what we might get more is the character building of Perrin from from book 3, because Perrin is really the main character of the 3 boys from book 3 there. Well, we don't
I would say
him
and Matt are pretty evenly.
I guess. Yeah, once
Matt's
healed.
You're right. It is mostly focused on. It's pretty much split between Perrin, then Matt, and then Egwene and Nynaeve.
But I mean, like, where I was getting at is in the book, The Dragon Reborn, Rand doesn't get a full chapter to himself. Like, he is actually, like, a background character. Like, you hear about, like, the things that he's doing or where he might be, but you don't actually get much point of view from Rand in book 3. The really only part you get of him is towards the end, once he's fighting Balal with Kalimdor. But okay, so what else do you think you'll see in season 1 that you're excited about?
I'm excited to see Teleron-Riyadh as well, and that could be another piece they bring forward from book 2 and book 3, is maybe experiencing that area as well a little bit more. Sure. Maybe even Egwene and Nynaeve, and they get the ring that helps them earlier on from Varen.
Right.
But
Varen's not going to be in season 1, is she? Is she just cast for season 2, I think?
Yeah, that's true. Yep, so maybe not that. But
again, who knows? Maybe it's a change. Maybe Varen doesn't give them the ring in this iteration.
That's true. That's very true.
Yeah, I'm also, even though we know pretty much how it's going to go down roughly, I'm still very excited to see Winter Night take place on the screen.
Yeah.
That will be pretty cool. And as you can see, like, I'm excited for like all the battles and stuff that are happening. Mike's like, I want to see the architecture.
I just want to see how they are taking this beloved world and bringing it to life. Yeah, but I'm excited for the battles too, and I hope they last a good chunk of time and not just, quick in and outs type deal.
Yeah, so real quick before we end the episode here, we actually got another listener message from our friend Meg over on Instagram. So I just wanted to pull this up because it's a little funny. So throwback to the Emmons Field 5 album names. So some album names she came up with are Straight Outta Two Rivers instead of Straight Outta Compton.
Yeah.
Wine Spring Wasted. So
Ooh.
that's pretty good there.
I like that one.
But yeah, I think that both of those are really good. I I really haven't thought too much about the names for the Emmonsfield 5 album there, but I think that sounds good to me. I especially like the Straight Out of Two Rivers.
Straight Out of the Two Rivers, yeah.
Yeah.
That one is really good. You could also do something like, what is it Min calls Rand all the time?
Yeah, I was thinking like, wool-headed sheep herder or something like that.
Yeah, wolf-headed sheep herders.
I was like, how can
wolf-headed
I play on that so that it includes like all 5 of them instead of just Rand? But yeah.
What is it that Matt's trying to catch? He's trying to catch a badger, right, at the beginning?
Yes, yeah. How to... Oh, I got it. How to Train Your Dragon. Love it.
That's good. That's good. How to Train Your Dragon. That's good. Wolves on my mind.
Yeah, got wolves on my mind. Oh my gosh, Perrin is funny. All right, so as you can see, we're kind of just like rambling.
Paranoid
right now.
for Matt. I feel like that would be like a song he would sing.
Yeah. We've kind of let this episode run its course. We're just having fun right now. So why don't we just end it here? And so give you guys a look at what we're planning for next week with our episode. So Mike, what do you have in store for us for the schedule for next week's episode?
So we'll kind of continue what we're doing right now, where we talk about some predictions and stuff going forward. I think we're going to really focus on kind of saying how we think the story is going to be laid out. So this is going to be like legitimately our prediction for season 1. Like, this is going to happen, then this is going to happen, then I think this is going to happen. So it's going to be kind of fun to see what I think and what Dylan thinks. And we're just going to use the information we have available to us. We're going to try to avoid talking to each other about it beforehand, so that way we can kind of like give a pretty honest critique, like, oh, I hadn't thought of that, or oh, wow, like, you know, be able to give each other a little feedback on what we think. So I think that'll be a lot of fun. I'm really interested to hear, and I know we've already said earlier on in the show to leave us any messages or any feedback via email, wheeloftimerewind@gmail.com, or on Twitter or Instagram at WOTRewind. But what you guys think is going to be included from Book 2 and Book 3 into Season 1, as well as your thoughts on, well, anything to do with the show. As always, just be respectful, and we look forward to hearing from you guys.
Yeah, so like Mike just said, we'll see you at the next turning of the wheel. Goodbye.
Bye.